The Whitmore mansion stood like a fortress of wealth, its marble halls echoing with the silence of a mystery no fortune could solve. At its heart was Lily, an 8-year-old girl whose lips had never parted to speak, not a word, not a whisper, not a sound. Her father, Jonathan Whitmore, a tech titan whose name adorned skyscrapers, had spent millions on specialists, chasing answers that slipped through his grasp like sand. The world saw his empire, but within these walls his daughter's silence was a wound that bled quietly. One golden afternoon, as sunlight spilled through the mansion's towering windows, a sound broke the stillness. A soft, soulful melody drifting from the nursery. Jonathan froze, his heart racing as he followed the notes. There, in a room of pastel toys and untouched dreams, he saw the impossible, his mute daughter swaying gently, her lips trembling with a faint hum, singing alongside the black nanny who'd been with them mere weeks. Amara Jones, a stranger to this world of privilege, had sparked something no expert could. How had her voice reached Lily's silent heart? What power lay in their shared song? The answer would unravel a story of trust, prejudice, and a bond that would reshape a family and challenge a community's hidden biases. The Whitmore estate was a monument to success, perched on a hill overlooking a city that bowed to Jonathan Whitmore's name. At 45, he was a tech mogul whose innovations powered global markets, his wealth measured in billions. His life gleamed, with polished surfaces, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and manicured gardens that stretched into the horizon. Yet beneath this opulence lay a quiet despair. His daughter Lily had never spoken. Born 8 years ago, her silence baffled the world's best doctors. No physical defect, no clear diagnosis. Just a mute presence, her blue eyes wide with thoughts she couldn't voice. Her mother's death from illness when Lily was 2 had left Jonathan alone, pouring his grief into work, building walls of wealth around his pain. Lily spent her days in the nursery, a pastel haven filled with toys she rarely touched. Her world was one of books, crayons, and long gazes out windows at the world beyond. Specialists came and went, speech therapists from London, neurologists from Boston, even a shaman from a remote retreat. Each left with theories but no progress, their bills stacking higher than Jonathan's hopes. He'd watch Lily through the nursery's glass door, her pale curls catching the light, and feel a pang of failure. His empire could control markets, but not his daughter's voice. Desperate for a change, Jonathan's assistant, Ellen, suggested a live-in nanny. Someone new might connect differently, she urged. Enter Amara Jones, 32, a black woman from a small southern town, her resume glowing with childcare accolades. Raised by a grandmother who sang gospel to soothe life's hardships, Amara had a gift for reaching children others couldn't. Her warm smile and steady presence won Jonathan over in a brief interview, though his decision was rushed, his mind on a looming merger. Amara moved into a modest room on the estate, her single suitcase dwarfed by the grandeur of oak-paneled hallways. From her first day, Amara observed Lily with quiet intensity. The girl's silence wasn't just absence, she sensed. It was a shield, built from years of being prodded like a specimen. Amara didn't push. She sat with Lily, reading picture books aloud, her voice soft as the morning light filtering through the nursery's curtains. She hummed old spirituals, the kind her grandmother sang on humid summer nights, filling the room with warmth. The nursery, once a sterile space of failed experiments, began to pulse with life. Lily's eyes followed Amara, curious, hesitant, but drawn to the music. The mansion staff, however, was less welcoming. Mrs. Clara, the head housekeeper, a 60-year-old woman with a rigid demeanor, watched Amara with narrowed eyes. "She's too casual," Clara muttered to the cook, eyeing Amara's jeans and braided hair. "This isn't a place for that." The whispers carried a familiar edge, rooted in Amara's race and her outsider status in the elite world of the Whitmores. Other staff, maids, gardeners, a chauffeur, echoed Clara's unease, their glances sharp as Amara passed. Jonathan, distracted by work, barely noticed the undercurrent. Amara felt it but focused on Lily, sensing the girl's silence held a key, not to a medical cure but to a heart waiting to be unlocked. Amara's days with Lily became a quiet dance of patience and melody. Each morning, she'd sit by the nursery's bay window, braiding her hair while humming Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Lily watched, her fingers tracing the edges of a book, her body still but her eyes alive. Amara introduced small rituals, clapping to rhythms, tapping a wooden spoon on a toy drum. One day, she brought a ukulele, its gentle strums filling the room like a breeze. Lily's hands twitched as if wanting to join, and Amara smiled, leaving the instrument within reach. She didn't force it. She let the music invite. The staff's skepticism grew louder. Clara, polishing silver in the dining hall, complained to the gardener, Tom, a gruff man who'd served the Whitmores for decades. "She's turning the nursery into some kind of music hall," Clara said, her voice sharp. "What does she know about a child like Lily?" Tom nodded, his own discomfort fueled by Amara's race and her refusal to blend into the mansion's hierarchy. The whispers reached the kitchen, where the cook, a younger woman named Sarah, hesitated but joined in, uneasy about Amara's informal ways. "She sings like she's at a church revival," Sarah said, half laughing, half scornful. Amara sensed the tension, but kept her focus on Lily. One afternoon, she taught the girl to clap to This Little Light of Mine. Lily's hands moved hesitantly, then, with purpose, a faint smile breaking through. It was a spark, small, but undeniable. Amara's heart leapt. She'd seen children open up before, but this felt different, sacred. She began singing daily, weaving stories into her songs, tales of her grandmother's porch, where music was a shield against a world that often judged her skin. Lily's eyes followed every note, her body swaying slightly, as if the music was pulling her from her shell. Jonathan, meanwhile, was drowning in work. A multi-billion-dollar merger was faltering, his investors restless, his days a blur of conference calls and red-eye flights. He returned home late, his tie loosened, his mind far from the nursery. Passing the hallway one evening, he heard Amara's voice, a low, soulful hum that felt alien in the mansion's sterile air. He paused, curious but distracted, assuming it was just a nanny's quirk. Clara seized the moment, cornering him in the study. "That woman's methods are unprofessional," she said, her tone clipped. "Singing all day. Lily needs structure, not songs." Jonathan, exhausted, waved her off, but felt a seed of doubt. Was Amara's approach too unconventional? The doubt lingered as Amara pushed further. She took Lily to the mansion's rose garden, a rare outing beyond the nursery's walls. Under the afternoon sun, she sang, "Oh, Happy Day," her voice carrying across the blooms. Lily trailed close, her steps lighter, her fingers tapping the beat against her palm. A gardener paused, his rake still, watching the scene with a mix of curiosity and disapproval. Later, he told Clara, "She's singing in public now. It's not right for a place like this." Clara's lips tightened, and she resolved to escalate her concerns to Jonathan. Back in the nursery, Amara's progress with Lily deepened. One evening, she taught the girl a simple melody, encouraging her to hum. Lily's throat vibrated, a faint, soundless attempt, but her eyes sparkled with effort. Amara's hope soared. She was close to a breakthrough. She began documenting Lily's responses in a notebook, noting every clap, every sway, every flicker of expression. But the staff's murmurs grew bolder. Sarah, the cook, overheard by Amara in the kitchen, whispered, "She's acting like she owns the place." The words stung, a reminder of the barriers Amara faced as a black woman in this world of privilege. Jonathan's stress peaked as the merger collapsed. He returned home, his temper frayed, his patience thin. Clara met him at the door, her voice low but insistent. "Amara's turning the nursery into a spectacle," she said. "It's distracting Lily from real progress." Jonathan, drained, agreed to check on things himself. He marched to the nursery, expecting to find chaos, perhaps a nanny overstepping her role, or worse, unsettling his daughter. What he found instead stopped him cold, his world shifting in an instant as the nursery door revealed a scene that would redefine everything he thought he knew. The nursery was a sanctuary of soft light, its pastel walls glowing under the afternoon sun filtering through lace curtains. Amara sat cross-legged on a woven rug, her ukulele resting beside her, her voice carrying a lullaby her grandmother had sung, a melody of hope woven through generations. Lily, perched on a cushion, swayed gently, her eyes locked on Amara's, her pale curls catching the light. Then, a miracle unfolded. A faint hum rose from Lily's throat, fragile but clear, mirroring Amara's tune. It wasn't a word, but it was a sound, a voice where none had existed. Amara's breath caught, but she kept singing, her voice steady, nurturing the delicate thread of Lily's hum. The girl's notes grew bolder, a quiet duet filling the room like a sunrise after an endless night. Jonathan stood at the nursery door, his briefcase slipping to the floor with a dull thud. His daughter, silent for 8 years, was singing with the black nanny he'd barely acknowledged. His heart thundered, a storm of awe, disbelief, and something deeper: guilt. Amara's voice was soulful, a lifeline, and Lily's hum followed, tentative but alive, like a flower breaking through stone. The room pulsed with their harmony. The silence that had defined Lily's life shattered in a moment of breathtaking connection. Jonathan's mind reeled. How had Amara done this? What had she seen in Lily that a dozen specialists missed? Stepped inside, his polished shoes soft on the rug. Amara's song faltered as she noticed him, her eyes wide with surprise. Lily's hum stopped, her gaze darting to her father, the moment fragile as glass. Jonathan's face was a canvas of emotions, shock, gratitude, and a flicker of shame for his earlier doubts. "Don't stop," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Please." Amara hesitated, then resumed, her lullaby softer now, coaxing Lily back. The girl's hum returned, fainter but persistent, her eyes searching her father's for approval. Jonathan sank into a rocking chair, his tailored suit out of place in the nursery's warmth, watching his daughter's face glow with a spark he'd never seen. The weight of the moment crashed over him. Amara wasn't just a nanny. She'd unlocked a door to Lily's soul that his wealth, his experts, his world couldn't open. But with that truth came a sting. Why had he ignored her? Why had he let Clara's complaints, laced with subtle prejudice, cloud his judgment? He thought of the staff's whispers, the way they'd judged Amara's braided hair, her songs, her very presence. He'd been complicit, too busy to question their biases or his own. The nursery, once a place of quiet despair, was now a haven of possibility, and Jonathan felt both humbled and exposed. Lily's hum faded as the song ended, and she reached for Amara's hand, a silent trust that pierced Jonathan's heart. He met Amara's gaze, nodding, his eyes wet. This was the turning point, a moment that would redefine his family and demand accountability from everyone within these walls. The nursery's song lingered in Jonathan's mind, a melody that shifted his world. He canceled his meetings for the week, determined to understand what had happened. Sitting with Amara in the mansion's library, surrounded by leather-bound books and the scent of old wood, He listened as she explained her approach. "Music reaches where words can't," she said, her voice steady but warm. Lily's silence wasn't about her voice, it was about trust. She needed someone to see her, not fix her. Jonathan nodded, grappling with his oversight. He'd hired Amara on a whim, never imagining she'd hold the key to his daughter's heart. Her words echoed his own failures, not just as a father, but as a man who'd let privilege blind him to her worth. Lily's progress accelerated. Her hums evolved into soft words: moon, bird, song, each a small miracle. Jonathan joined them in the nursery, learning Amara's melodies, his deep voice awkward but earnest as he sang alongside his daughter. The room, once a symbol of futility, became a space of connection, filled with claps, strums, and Lily's tentative sounds. Amara introduced new songs, each one a bridge to Lily's inner world. One evening, Lily pointed to the ukulele and whispered, "Play." Jonathan's breath caught, tears brimming as Amara handed the instrument to Lily, who plucked a single string, her smile radiant. The mansion's atmosphere shifted. Clara, the housekeeper, watched Lily hum in the garden, her sternness softening. She approached Amara one morning, her voice low. "I was wrong about you," she said, her eyes averted. "You've done what none of us could." Amara nodded, her forgiveness quiet but firm. Other staff followed. Tom, the gardener, lingered to hear Lily's hums. Sarah, the cook, baked cookies for the nursery, her earlier scorn replaced by admiration. Jonathan addressed the staff in the dining hall, his voice steady. "Amara's not just a nanny. She's family. Her work with Lily is a lesson for us, all." The room fell silent, the weight of his words dismantling the old hierarchy. Jonathan's transformation went beyond the mansion. Inspired by Amara's impact, he funded a music therapy wing at a local children's hospital, naming it after his late wife to honor her memory. He invited Amara to consult on the program, recognizing her expertise. She accepted, her eyes shining with pride but tempered by the weight of her journey. The story of Lily's voice spread, first through whispers among the staff, then to the community. A local reporter, tipped off by a maid, broke the story. "Millionaire's mute daughter sings, thanks to Nanny's unlikely gift." Social media erupted with "Thard Lily Sings," posts praising Amara's role, but also sparking debates about race and privilege. Some comments stung. "Just another nanny story," one read, dismissing her as help. Amara read them late at night, her heart heavy, but Jonathan's support anchored her. "You're not defined by their words," he told her, his own perspective forever changed. One evening, the grand piano in the parlor, long silent, came alive. Amara played a soulful rendition of "Lean on Me," her fingers dancing across the keys. Lily sat beside her, singing softly, her voice clear now, a melody of courage. Jonathan joined, his voice blending with theirs, the room filled with a harmony that transcended wealth or status. The mansion, once a fortress of isolation, was now a home, its walls echoing with connection. This story isn't just about a girl finding her voice. It's about a woman whose strength rewrote a family's future. Amara's songs broke through, silence and prejudice, showing that trust can heal where money fails. How many voices remain unheard, waiting for someone to listen? In a world quick to judge, Lily's song and Amara's courage challenge us to see beyond assumptions, to hear the melodies that bind us and to act before it's too late.